or doing interviews. You'll find her with celebrities and all the latest news. She's here, she's there, she's everywhere, she's always on the go. So sit back, relax, and get ready. This is the Corey Taylor Talks Show.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Corey Taylor Talks, live from Las Vegas. I just am so excited to have this guest on. She is such an amazing, inspiring woman that I think everyone can learn so much from. She's literally gone through hell and back and survived so much. I think a lot of people would really just give up hope on, but she is amazing and better than ever, and she's helping inspire so many people around the world. So we have Miss Holly Francis with us. So hi, Holly, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm really excited to have you on. So I am doing wonderful.
Oh, thank you. I'm so excited to be on as well. Thank you very much for the invite. And yeah, it's just so exciting.
Yeah, and like I said, so many people are really just so touched by your story, and I think they can learn so much from it. So why don't we just go right into it? Why don't you tell people a little bit about what happened to you?
Yeah. Okay. So this happened about 9.5 years ago. And at the time I was in my 20s and I was completely healthy and, living life to the fullest and just happy and healthy. And I was pregnant, and then I gave birth to my daughter. My daughter's name is Casey Marie, and she was born, and she was completely healthy, and I was just loving life. And I was excited about my future and excited about being a mom, and just looking forward to my time with her and bonding with her. And then about 3 weeks later, so my daughter was just 3 weeks old, suddenly I had a really strange tingle in my fingertip. And then I had pain in my neck, and then was kind of having trouble walking. And it all happened really quickly. Like, I'm talking within a couple hours. And I was thinking, like, maybe I have a pinched nerve or something. My neck is really sore. So I went to the doctor, and the doctor actually said, you probably do have a pinched nerve. And he sent me home. And when I went home, everything just continued to get worse. So the pain got worse, and the weakness and the tingling, it just got worse and worse. And I thought, well, this is a really bad pinched nerve. So I tried to go to bed that night. And then in the middle of the night, my daughter woke up to breastfeed. And I went to go get her, and I stood and I fell and I collapsed. And I remember thinking, like, this is a really, really bad pinched nerve that I can barely even walk. Like, I think I need to go to the emergency room. So I was able to stand back up and kind of brace myself and lock my knees. And I went to the hospital, and it just continued to get worse. By the time I even seen a doctor, I was struggling to walk. And it ended up being a blessing that it progressed so quickly, because they were able to recognize what it was. So the doctor that I seen there in the emergency room, he said, you have barely any strength left in your legs. You're losing strength now in your arms, and you actually have no reflexes. And all your symptoms, the tingling and the pain, sounds like Guillain-Barré syndrome. And Guillain-Barré syndrome is not something that most of us have ever heard of. I had never heard of it in my life. So I'm thinking, okay, I don't know what that is. So you just give me medicine and then I go home. And they said, well, we don't really know how serious this is going to be. GBS is a rare autoimmune disorder, and basically your body is attacking itself and it's paralyzing your body. And we don't know how severe this will be, so you just need to stay tight, and just we'll monitor you and see how things go, and we'll put you on some treatment. So my daughter came to the hospital, and they put her in bed with me, and things just progressed very quickly. So within 72 hours, I was completely paralyzed from the neck down. I went almost into cardiac arrest. I could no longer breathe on my own anymore, and they put me on a ventilator in the ICU. So it happened very quickly. Like I said, within 72 hours from that first symptom, I was completely paralyzed and unable to move, talk, do anything. And then from that point on, I stayed in that state, and I stayed in ICU in that room for almost 3 months, almost completely paralyzed, unable to move, unable to hold my daughter, unable to do anything, unable to even speak. And it was such a dark period for such a long time. And it was hard to find that hope. And especially when you're in your 20s and you think you're going to be healthy and you've got your whole life ahead of you. And then
Of course.
something like this happens to you, especially when I'd just given birth. So for a while, it felt like I was never going to get out of there. I felt like there was no life for me, and there was, if I did, the best case scenario, I would be in ICU forever, or I might be in a wheelchair. And I lost a lot of hope for a long time. But over time, I did see little glimmers of hope, and my daughter obviously was a huge inspiration for me. They would bring her every day to be at the hospital with me, and they'd set her on my bed with me. And I just, deep down, I really wanted to get back to her, and I wanted to fight. I just didn't know how. I had another GBS survivor that came to visit me, and he was a huge inspiration for me. And he showed me that people do recover from this disorder. And so it kind of ignited a flame in me to keep pushing and keep trying. And he actually brought me a sign that said, "Courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's the quiet voice that says, I'll try again tomorrow." It's one of my favorite quotes. And on my really hard days, I would be crying and I would be in pain. I would be like, I just can't do this anymore. And then I would always remind myself, I can always just try again tomorrow. And that's what I would do. And I mean, one day just rolled into the next, and then my fingers started moving, and then my hands started moving, and then my arms started moving. And slowly I started to regain that movement and started to rebuild my life again.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a long journey.
No, and so are you completely recovered from it now?
I am. So it took about, I was in the hospital for about 126 days.
Oh
So
my gosh.
almost 6 months. My daughter was almost 6 months old when I got home.
Oh,
So I missed out on a lot of milestones with her and a lot of time with her. But by the time I got home, I was using a walker. And I learned how to use a walker, and then how to use a cane. And then eventually I did some more therapy, outpatient therapy, and I learned how to walk again. And so since then, I have completely recovered. I've been very fortunate, but also with a lot of determination and hard work.
of course.
I did a lot of physio for a lot of years, and then I got into exercise, and I just continued to push myself. I knew that my recovery was on me, and I knew that, like, if I didn't put in the effort, that I wasn't going to improve. So I really, really pushed myself, and promised myself that I would continue to try even on the days that were really hard. And like I said, I went on to have a really great recovery. And then I actually fell in love with fitness. And that's how I kind of got into the whole fitness industry world and started to show other people, not only people that are struggling physically, but struggling mentally, that there is life after trauma and life after hard times. And you just have to really keep going and never give up.
Oh, definitely. And how long would you actually say from the very first symptom until you were completely recovered? How long was that process? Do you have any idea?
Yeah, I mean, each step was a little bit different and a little bit longer. So, I mean, fully, back to normal, I would say it was about a year and a half. I still had some lingering issues. Even though I was walking, it was a very kind of like an invisible illness. And
Yeah.
so I was still dealing with weakness in my legs and had to be very particular about the way I walked, although somebody that was looking at me wouldn't even know. And I was dealing with a lot of pain and just various different health issues that people couldn't necessarily see, which taught me a lot about just caring about other people, and you never know what's going on in their lives. So I would say, yeah, it was about a year and a half before I really felt like I had my life back and that I wasn't held back from anything. But to this day, I still do have some lingering issues, but they're so mild that everything that I got out of what I went through, it ended up being a blessing for me. And it changed my life in such a positive way that the issues are so minor to me. And GBS honestly was one of the best things to happen to me because it changed my outlook on life. It put me on a new path in life. I wanted to advocate for GBS, and just because when I'd heard of it, like I didn't even know what it was, as is most people when they are diagnosed with it. And so I really wanted to advocate for other people and remind other people that you will get through this just as I did. So yeah, it's really changed my life in a positive way.
Yeah, and how long did it actually take for you to look at it in a positive way? Because I'm sure while you were in it, it just had to be the toughest thing. So how long did it actually take for you to look at it in that sort of way?
You know what? I'm actually pretty impressed with myself that even when I was in ICU and I was there were moments that I was thinking like already that it was changing my life. It was more in like, if I do get out of this, what I want to do is spend more time with family and
Yeah.
friends. And if I do make it out of this alive, then I really want to try doing this, or I want to go after goals that I had said. So I think deep down at that time, I knew it was going to change my life. At the time, obviously, it was still so raw that it was
Of
it was
course.
hard. But as time had gone on, and then when I got out of the hospital, and it just, like I said, changed my life. And then I really used it as a force to live my life differently. So I did start going after goals that I had already always said that I wanted to pursue, but just never had. I started every year on my anniversary, like my first year anniversary after being diagnosed. I was a little bit nervous about the date and emotional, and I couldn't believe it had been a year. And so I said, well, I'm going to do something exciting and fun every year on my anniversary. So, I mean, I've gone indoor rock climbing, I've climbed mountains, I've gone dog sledding in the mountains, and
Wow.
just always, yeah. So I've always just tried to do something really fun and something that I've never done before.
Yeah.
So it's definitely been a huge blessing in my life.
That's incredible, and I think it's amazing that you were able to look at it in a positive way, and I think a lot of people can learn from that because, and it's a normal thing whenever we're going through something, we just focus on the negativity, and because it's very difficult what some people go through, and I can't even imagine, especially having a new baby going through what you did. But you still focus on the positive, and personally believe that's probably one of the reasons why you were able to recover and
Yeah,
do so amazing now and inspire so many people now, because I think positivity is such a powerful thing, and
I agree.
yeah.
Yeah, I know when I do feel that my point of when I started to turn around was when I started to change my mindset. Because I was in the hospital and I was in such a dark period for so long, and everyone was telling me, you're going to get better, you're going to get better. And I didn't really believe it. And I just refused, and I refused to even try. And then, like I said, when I met that guy, and when I just had my daughter around me, it was like, okay, like I need to push. And I think it was at that point that things started to really change and my health started to improve.
And like you said, a lot of people, I personally never heard of it until I heard your story. GBS, was it triggered by the pregnancy, or how did it happen? Would you have gotten it anyway, or do they really know much about it even?
Yeah, so they don't know for sure. They can't pinpoint an exact cause, but they do see a lot of cases, common triggers. So basically, one of the common triggers is the flu, or like a respiratory illness can trigger it.
Wow.
Surgery also triggers it, and childbirth has been known to trigger. So they can't pinpoint for sure. For me, I did have a C-section with my daughter. So, but they've said that it's likely childbirth or the C-section surgery that triggered it, just because of the timeline as well. So usually with
Right.
GBS, it's usually about 2 to 4 weeks after some sort of event, some sort of trauma to your body, that your immune system incorrectly reacts the way that it does.
Wow.
Yeah.
And oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, yeah, it's such a catastrophic event, and it is so shocking, and it changes people's lives. And even there's mild cases and there's severe cases, but no matter what, no matter how mild or severe, it's still just so shocking, and it usually comes on so quickly and devastating.
Oh yeah, I can't even imagine from being perfectly healthy with a new baby in 72 hours. I mean,
Yeah.
it's that has to be terrifying, and I can't even imagine. And I don't want to, because I can't. I really couldn't believe that. And when I saw the video, I felt for you so much. But what I think is even more amazing is how you turned it into such a positive thing, and you're
Mhm.
inspiring so many people. So how did you actually go about starting to do motivational speaking and telling your story and everything? What made you start doing that?
I think it started when I first got out of the hospital, and I had so many people. I'm in my 20s. I had so many young people that were healthy, and they were just shocked at what I'd gone through, and they had so many questions. And so everybody was coming to me with questions, and I just wanted to tell people more, because it was like, yeah, there's so much more out there than we realize. When you're young, you're naive to what else is out there in the world. And so I wanted to educate people, and I started talking about GBS a lot more, and I started talking about it at social media. And in my city where I live in a smaller city, so my story had already been kind of all over the place because I had a newborn baby, and it was very tragic. So I did a lot of news stories at that time, and people wanting to just know how my recovery was and how I was doing. So that's kind of where it started. And then from there, I went on and actually wrote a book about it.
Yes.
And I talked about what everything I went through, and it just kind of snowballed from there. My book, my video, I had no intention. I actually wasn't happy that my mom was videotaping me in the hospital. And I remember thinking, like, get the camera out of my face. But she had done it because she wanted to show me that I was improving. And when I got out of the hospital, I pieced it all together and made this video and put it out on YouTube. And I had no idea that it was going to reach so many people. And I had people from all over the world, people that barely spoke English, just because, I mean, it can affect anybody
Right.
everywhere. And so people that have had GBS, or people that were their family member was going through GBS, and they were asking questions. And it just became so apparent that it was kind of a blessing, and that I could help people.
Yeah. No, and I did want to talk about your book too, because it's not an easy thing to write a book.
Yeah.
So how did you write the book, and how long did that take? And what is the book about? Is it your life story basically?
Yeah, so the book is called Happily Ever After,
Yes.
and I wrote that book. It was about a year, a little after, or a little before a year after I got out of the hospital.
Wow.
So it's mostly about my entire recovery. So from that very first symptom and on, and just kind of everything that I went through. Like I said, I just really wanted to dive into the disorder and what it actually does to a person. I think a lot of people don't realize there's this whole other life if you're dealing with health issues, and especially if you're in the hospital. And so I just wanted to share kind of all the triumphs and all the hard times that I went through, and just show people that you can go through hell and back, and that there is life after a disease like GBS. Yeah, so that's the book, and I'm actually in the process of rewriting it right now.
Oh, awesome.
And the reason why is just because so much has happened since then,
Right.
that I really wanted to just show kind of the life after GBS, that there is that life after.
Definitely. And like you said, it's not just GBS. There's so many diseases that we'll never even hear of because there's so many of them.
Yeah.
But people feel like there's not an end in sight, and it's just going to be forever. And so for people like you to come out and share your story, and like you said, it was really such a tragic incident, but to make it into such a good thing, and to really show that you're out there and you're kicking butt and taking names, and you're really living your life to the fullest. I mean, that has to give so many people so much hope, and their
Mhm.
families too, because it's difficult on the families as well, of course.
It is, yeah. And I think just when I had that support, we learned so much from the people, not so much from the doctors, but from the people that were going through it, or who had already gone through it. And
Yeah.
so I kind of just made a promise to myself that when, if and when I did recover from it, that I would help somebody else going through it, so that they could learn so much more in a short time, rather than waiting for the doctor to kind of explain things.
Yeah. And do you have maybe a story that like kind of stuck out to you the most, of someone that you helped, or someone who told you that you helped them? Is there something that really kind of sticks out to you? I'm sure you have many.
I do have many, which is amazing. One that I don't know why it just kind of popped into my head. It was a young girl that she was actually 15,
Oh,
and her family reached out to me, and she had a very severe case as well. She was on a ventilator in ICU, and they were just desperate for some sort of inspiration, and they had me come to visit her in the hospital. And I'm in Canada and she was in the States, and I flew there to be with her, and I spent the whole weekend with her. And I could tell right away, like, I was like, I know you're going to recover. I can just see it in your eyes. And she was a fighter, and she was making jokes even though she couldn't speak. She was just trying to say funny things, and she just made me laugh. And afterwards, she went on to have a full recovery, and now she's getting into fitness. And I think she's been out of the hospital for about 2 years, three
wow.
years, and now she's really getting into fitness. And she's told me that the reason why is because of everything that I've gone through, and that everything that I've shown her that I was capable of, that she can do it too.
That's awesome. Wow, 15. Oh my gosh, that's so
Uh,
crazy. Is it a common disease? Do you know how common it is?
Yeah, so it's about 2 out of every 100,000 people. So
Okay.
it's not, I mean, that's still pretty rare, but it does
Right.
happen. There's still, like, I mean, in my city, that's about 10, 15 people a year that would get it. So,
Wow.
and it does affect people of all ages. I know people as young as 2 years old that have gotten it, which is devastating. I
Oh,
can't even imagine going through that as a child.
no.
It does affect the older generation a little bit more, but not too much. So it really varies.
And do you know if there, especially with the pandemic going on and stuff, and like you said, it could be triggered
Mhm.
by the flu and stuff. Has there been a spike? Like, have they even released that information yet? Do you have any idea with that?
Yeah, I am quite heavily involved with the GBS Foundation as well. And so far, they haven't seen an increase,
Good.
necessarily, like, due to COVID or anything. However, they do know that COVID can trigger GBS, and it has happened. I have talked to some patients that their GBS, they got COVID, and then 3 to 4 weeks later triggered GBS. So it's
Wow.
quite scary, but again, it is so rare that it just doesn't happen that often.
Yeah, that's good. It doesn't, but it just has to be such a scary thing. But
Yeah.
it's amazing that there's survivors like you who are out there and bringing awareness to it. Because I think this is important that we kind of learn more about it. Because, like you said, it's rare, but it's not that rare. It's real. It sounds like it's a lot. It's not a lot, but it really is. And like you said,
Yeah.
with the numbers, so that's amazing that people are bringing it to light, and hopefully we get more attention to it.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, it's only rare until it happens to you.
Exactly.
When it's happening to you, it doesn't feel rare, and it can be so scary. I know when I was diagnosed, the doctors kind of made the mistake of telling me it's so rare that we've never really seen many cases, and so I felt like I was one of the only people in the world that had it. And I felt like nobody understood me, nobody understood my pain, nobody understood what I was going through. And then when I met that gentleman that had it, and then when I got out of the hospital and I met other people that had it, and then suddenly I met thousands of people that had it,
Yeah.
it was just like this community of survivors. And so I think that's really important, no matter what you're going through, is find that group of people that you can ask questions and you can find inspiration from. It makes such a difference.
Absolutely. And what advice do you have for people who, not just necessarily disease, but any type of struggle that really is weighing heavy on them, and they feel just completely helpless? What advice do you have for these people? Because like I said, I really think they could learn a lot from you.
Mhm. I think the biggest piece of advice, would be that many times our tragedies that we're going through are temporary, even though we may not believe it at that time, and we think we're never going to get better, we're never going to get through this. But there's so many stories out there, not just mine, of people that have gone through hell and back. So I think holding on to that hope that, you know what, it's awful right now, and that's okay, and it's okay to feel so down and be so depressed and think that you're not going to, but as long as you hold on to that hope that things will get better. And then the other piece would be to just remember that there's going to be bad days, but you can always try again tomorrow.
Yeah.
And you always want to just hold on to that fight within yourself. And if you can't fight today, you can always fight tomorrow.
Yeah. And I did love that quote. I haven't heard that before, but I do love that quote that you shared. I
Mhm.
think that is amazing, and it really says a lot, you know, and I
Mhm.
think it's great for people too.
Mhm.
And your daughter Casey, how is she doing? Have you told her kind of what happened? Does she understand
Oh,
everything?
yes. She's almost 10 now. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
it's crazy.
She knows everything. So she was there when I mean, she was a year and a half when I was writing the book and putting the video together. And so she's seen it all, and she's seen how everything has progressed over the years, and how I got into the speaking and into more advocacy for the disease. So she's been around for a lot of that, and she knows quite a bit about it. And I think she thinks I'm pretty strong, and I think she's pretty proud. She's
Heck
also a little bit kind of famous in her own way,
yeah.
just on social media. Everybody always wants to see her and
Yeah.
everything, just because she was the little baby that was on my chest every day in the ICU. It's definitely strengthened our bond too. Like, I don't know if I would have appreciated being a mom as much as I do now. Just knowing that at one point I couldn't even hold her. I couldn't even say I love you to her. I watched everyone else around me take care of her, and it was
Yeah.
devastating for me. And so when I got out of the hospital, and that first time that my hands were strong enough to hold her in my arms, it's a sense of gratitude that I definitely wouldn't have had. So we do have such a strong bond, because of everything we went through together.
Yeah, I really I couldn't even imagine being a new mom, and like you
Hmm.
said, you don't even think about that, seeing everyone else being able to give your child all the affection and everything, and you just have to sit there. I mean,
Yeah.
what a devastating thing. But like you said, you came out even stronger, and you really truly are a warrior, and you're doing so much for everyone, and you're really I'm sure you change so many lives that you'll probably never even hear of how many, and
Mhm.
that's amazing.
Thank you.
And
I'm glad that I'm just glad that it could be a positive in anybody's lives. Like, even if I just touch one person and inspire them to keep going, then it means that my pain was worth it.
Absolutely. And like I said, I'm sure not just one, but many. I mean, even that
Hmm.
15-year-old girl. I mean, that poor
Hmm.
girl, 15 years old, but still, she came out and she's doing better than ever. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And where can people follow you and keep up to date with everything you're doing and buy your book? And hopefully, when you release the new version of the book, to get that.
For sure. So my website is kind of an area that I post kind of everything. So that is hollyaftergbs.com.
Okay.
And then I am on social media. I'm on Instagram, YouTube, as well as Facebook under Holly After GBS. And my YouTube channel is kind of focused more for my GBS community, and they can get lots of GBS support and GBS videos. And then my social media is kind of just where people can catch up with what I'm doing and what's going on in my life.
That's awesome, and thank you so much for being on and for doing this, and once again for just sharing your story.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so honored to be a part of your show. I think I checked out the page, and I'm just so inspired by you as well, and everything that you do as well.
Oh, well, thank you very much. And like I said, it's truly an honor having you on. And if you ever come to Vegas too, we'd love to have you in studio.
Absolutely. I do go to Vegas.
Awesome.
And I can't because of COVID right now, but
Correct.
definitely one day I will have to give you a call.
All right, cool. And hopefully things will start calming down in Vegas too soon.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you so much, Holly, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
Sounds good.
And
Have a
after
great day.
I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I just said that. Thank you so much.
Oh yeah, and after this too, we will be playing your video too, so then people can watch
Awesome.
it and see everything, and actually have a visual of everything that you went through. So thank you so much for being on. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Have a great day.
And thank you guys so much for watching. Remember, never give up, always believe, and you will achieve. Thank you and God bless.
up at her. Mommy smiles, Spoons.
Big smile.
Can you smile?
Smile.
Look at her looking at them. That's amazing. Oh, look at the big